Over the course of the Russia-Ukraine war, we've seen both sides unleash massive amounts of military hardware, from drones and missiles to tanks and armored vehicles. But among all this firepower, there's one region where the intensity of the conflict has been especially brutal: Kursk. Located in western Russia near the Ukrainian border, Kursk has become one of the war's most contested hotspots. It's not just a front line, it's a place where the tug-of-war for territory has revealed deep strategic shifts, particularly when it comes to armored warfare. And now, Russia claims to be collecting a growing fleet of captured Western-supplied military vehicles from this area. So, what exactly is happening in Kursk? And what does it tell us about the broader war? To understand the situation today, let's rewind briefly. In August 2024, Ukrainian forces launched a surprise counteroffensive, successfully pushing into Russian-held areas in the Kursk region. The gains were significant. Ukraine seized about 1,376 square kilometers, including around 100 towns and villages. It was their biggest territorial advance since late 2022. The offensive was seen as both a strategic maneuver to disrupt Russian momentum in eastern Ukraine and a political tool, possibly meant to create leverage in future negotiations. But Russia didn't stay quiet for long. Just weeks later, in September 2024, it launched a sustained counteroffensive aimed at regaining lost ground. By March 2025, the tide had completely turned. Russian forces had recaptured nearly all the land Ukraine had gained, forcing Ukrainian troops to retreat to a thin strip near the border. Key locations like Sudzha and surrounding villages were once again under Russian control. With Russia back in charge of this critical region, the tide began to shift, not just in terms of territory, but in terms of hardware. As Russian forces pushed forward, reports began to emerge of large numbers of abandoned or captured Ukrainian armored vehicles, many of them supplied by NATO and Western allies. The Kursk region has since become one of the most prolific sites for collecting military hardware left behind by retreating Ukrainian units. On March 24th, Russia's Ministry of Defense announced that the Tula Guard's airborne formation had received a fresh batch of captured vehicles from the battlefield. Among them were a Soviet-made BRDM, a BM-21 Grad multiple rocket launcher, a US-made M2 Bradley infantry fighting vehicle, and a Turkish Kirpi armored personnel carrier. Surprisingly, many of these vehicles were in good working condition, still loaded with ammunition and free of major damage. After undergoing quick repairs, they were either redeployed or added to Russia's expanding trophy collection. On that same day, Army Corps units from Sakhalin also reported the capture of several more armored platforms. This batch included a US-built Max Pro, a French Renault APC, and a Ukrainian-made Kozak vehicle. Again, Russian officials emphasized that these vehicles were being restored and would be preserved as part of the war's spoils. Just days earlier, on March 21st, footage circulated on Telegram via the uncensored news channel showed the capture of an unusual find: a Jordanian Petra Hunter armored vehicle, reportedly still in service. The presence of this rare model highlights just how broad the international support for Ukraine has been, and how some of it has now ended up in Russian hands. On March 18th, Sputnik reported a more extensive sweep. In newly secured zones of Kursk, Russian units, including the Akhmat Special Forces and the Sever Battle Group, were shown capturing a wide range of Western military vehicles. Among the highlights were Max Pro armored vehicles and Stryker APCs, both widely used by US forces. Even earlier, on March 16th, the Telegram channel War History released footage of further seizures. It claimed that disrupted Ukrainian logistics, along with Russia's rapid territorial gains, forced Ukrainian troops to abandon numerous vehicles, including BTR-4s, more Bradley IFVs, and additional Kursk APCs. The earliest confirmed instance came on March 2nd, when War History posted a video of another U.S. Bradley captured near Staraya Sorochina in northern Kursk. The vehicle appeared nearly untouched, functional, and complete. All these captures aren't just about increasing Russia's arsenal. They're part of a broader strategy: military, industrial, and psychological. For one, Russia has been actively studying the design and weaknesses of Western hardware. Vehicles like the German Leopard 2 and U.S. Bradley IFVs have been dissected to improve Russia's own defenses and develop specialized anti-tank munitions. Russia's state-owned defense conglomerate Rostec has publicly stated that it developed new shells designed specifically to pierce Western armor, thanks to intelligence gathered from captured vehicles. There's also the messaging factor. These trophies are being used as propaganda tools, shown off to the public and the world. At the Army 2023 Expo, for example, Russia displayed over 800 captured Western weapons, including French AMX-10 RCRs and Australian Bushmasters. The goal is clear: to undermine the perceived superiority of NATO equipment, boost domestic morale, and send a signal to Ukraine's supporters that their aid may not be having the desired impact. The Kursk region has come to symbolize something larger than a simple shift in territorial control. It's now a reflection of how modern war is fought, not just with bullets and tanks, but with messaging, intelligence, and adaptation. As the battlefield changes, so too does the use of its resources, including what's left behind. From American Bradleys and Max Pros to Turkish Kirpis, and even a Jordanian Petra Hunter, the collection of captured armored vehicles in Kursk is growing. Whether these trophies serve practical battlefield purposes or are used as political statements, one thing is certain: they represent the evolving nature of this war and the ways each side is trying to turn setbacks into opportunities. But with so much advanced equipment being captured and repurposed, it raises a bigger question. How much longer can Ukraine's allies afford to supply hardware that might ultimately end up in enemy hands? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. That's all for today. Thank you for watching.